Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome to Saturday's edition of the dceu Daily. Do you remember the excitement we had after the final trailer of Justice League? Now, that was a very interesting moment because we didn't know it then, but they'd already did the reshoots. And some of the reshoot scenes were in this. But what was criminal, some of Zack's scenes that they wasn't going to use was also in this to convince us to go and see this movie. Now, the most important of those scenes of Zack's is the opening of this trailer where we see Henry, a proper Henry, no CGI, no upper lip catastrophe. Let's watch the final trailer of Justice League and let's talk about it.
I'll take that as a yes.
What?
The ring.
You see, that's a very special scene. That got me and all DCEU fans, all Zack Snyder fans and all BVS and MOS fans really, really excited because we know Superman and Clark are dead, but it's very exciting. And was it a dream sequence? We'll never know, but it was a beautiful scene. She walks out on the porch. I take it that's a yes. Henry Cavill looking absolutely wonderful. No mess around with his face. That was shot before the catastrophe of the reshoots. They literally used the scene they had no intention of using in the cut without Zack being involved. But why wouldn't you use that scene? It tells everything. It goes back to the emotions that Clark and Lois have for each other. Why would you cut it out? Absolutely traumatic for every fan to see that in the final trailer they used the scene they had no intention of showing in the movie.
Violence, acts of war, and terrorism are all on the rise.
I had a dream. It was the end of the world.
Invasion.
I think it's something more. Something darker.
Absolutely fantastic. Another moment cut out of the scene. Now, when Dinah says invasion, we know they kept that in the cut. But this bit, when he says, I think it's something darker, you can see Diana, you can see Wonder Woman, just behind Batfleck, right? A beautiful moment. I think it's something else, something darker. Oh, we can't use that. Batman just said dark. The pundits and the critics and the mainstream audience are going to hate this. Cut the word darker out. And that's another moment from this final trailer that got me so excited. This was such a good, well put together trailer, but it was to trick us, to make us think that everything in the garden was rosy, that this was still Zack's movie, that Joss was just finishing this movie off for a friend. Despicable. Putting stuff in they had no intention of using in the theatrical cut.
We're asking people who don't know to risk their lives.
Strong man struggles alone. You ever heard that? It's not a saying. That's the opposite of what the saying is.
Right, there already we've seen two smiles. They're the reshoots. Aquaman smiling, Flash doing a smile. This was all what the reshoots were all about, marvelising this film. And you see it there. Already you've seen the Snyder stuff, the raw stuff, the real stuff. Then we get smiles. Well, thank you, Joss. Thank you, Kevin Sujihara. Thank you very much for destroying a great man's hard work.
We are not enough.
Now, I think divided, we are not enough. I don't think that was used in the film, which is a shame, and I'm not sure who's saying it. I think it's Ben Affleck, isn't it? Batfleck. But that's a great little kind of piece of dialogue as well, which they cut out. Right, that's an interesting bit when you kind of see the cape with the lady legs. They look like lady legs. That doesn't look like Superman. So is it just a kind of mannequin, three-dimensional mannequin with the cape on it? There were always rumours of Supergirl, but I know that a lot of bloggers and critics and movie pundits who went on the set said there was no evidence that Supergirl was involved in this film. But I still think that was Supergirl, and he was looking for Supergirl to join the Justice League. My theory, but Zack's never mentioned Supergirl, which is of course interesting, so I could be wrong.
Why I brought you together.
I made him a promise. That's why I brought you together. Nope. As far as I know, again, you can correct me down in the comments below, but I don't think that was used. That is a very poetic piece of dialogue. It goes back to Batman v Superman, what he did to Clark, what he did to Superman. He feels guilty about it, and that's the essence of what this film was going to be.
Ride ain't over yet. Oh, man.
There you go. If you can't see it through my TV because the picture isn't great, you can see Diana, aka Wonder Woman, smiling. That's another reshoot. They actually wanted people to see these superheroes smiling because everyone had complained that there wasn't much smiles in Man of Steel, in Batman and Batman v Superman. As that matters, as that makes a great movie, but they were trying to copy print Marvel, Marvelize the DCEU, make some quick money. Absolutely ridiculous, and we know how it all ended up. And there you go, the final trailer of Justice League.
Awesome. As a back signal, that's your... Oh, sorry. It's your signal. That means we have to go now. Yeah, that's what that means. It's so cool.
So there you go, yeah, that is the final trailer of Justice League. I thought I'd remind you all about it because this is when the lie truly began. Well, it began when we were told that Joss Whedon was just there to polish this movie. It would be Zack's movie, but I never understood why they were doing the reshoots if it was going to be Zack's movie. How can you go and reshoot somebody else's movie? It doesn't make any sense unless you want to change it. So I always I remember at the time being kind of excited that Whedon was involved because of what he did with the first Avengers movie. But then I kind of started to say to myself, either the critics and the audience are going to love this or everyone's going to hate this and say, you know, you've got two directors doing this movie. What an absolute mess. Or it would have been Whedon, basically it would have been Whedon has saved this movie. Because we all kind of suspected what had happened when Whedon had come in. But we were kind of going in and just hoping that Zack moving away from the movie at that time was because he couldn't handle the death of his daughter and he needed to support his family and they needed to support him. Of course we believed that. Who wouldn't believe that? But the truth is deeper. And that final trailer really is proof that not only they stabbed Zack in the back, but there is indeed a Snyder Cut.